Share screen. Us?
We're unmuted right now, so if you want to welcome Andra, that's fine.
Good evening, Andra. No? Do you want to press this?
Nope,
It's lit, you're all set.
nope, you're all set. We can hear.
There might be a
Andra,
delay.
can you hear us?
Um,
You may be muted.
mhm. You know, Marlo, the signature thing, I always have to ask my son to help me do it, so I'll give it to you tonight.
Oh, yeah, whenever.
Okay.
I'll bring it next time.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's just so funny. There's just some silly thing and I just never seem to do it right. But I will do it. No, I was just wondering that since, well, I guess we have to wait for Andra anyway. If Andra is here and the member isn't, if we could maybe scoot up the rest of the stuff and do the, the minutes from last
You-
month's meeting.
Someone can make the motion to reorder the meeting and put the application at the end of the agenda, and you can certainly do that.
Okay.
Just have somebody make a motion to reorder the agenda. And
So all I need to do is have Andra present.
you have a quorum regardless.
Okay, so should I
So
just,
do you want me to, I'll stop sharing.
I can,
So we're back to the meeting room.
do you want me to text Andra and just ask her if she can hear us?
Sure.
Andra says, I'm trying to connect now. Are you guys up and running there? Yes, we are.
Can we see your name?
You see your name.
We just don't hear you.
I'm wondering if I have two meetings start. No, it wouldn't let me start two meetings.
Or you must the applicant coming in person or?
From the last meeting, I was under the impression he was going to be here in person. That's what you had indicated at the last meeting, that they should do their best to attend in person. And on the record, he agreed to
Okay.
through the texting by his representative.
Andra, can you hear us?
Can she see us on her screen? We can see her name.
It's like, damn. You don't have to have, do you have copies of that? I thought I made pictures of everything, but I can't, I have it here.
I'll bring the pictures of 991 up on the screen.
No, I have the pictures.
Oh.
I did it on my iPad, but I don't have Wi-Fi, and I thought, I mean, I do have Wi-Fi at my home. I have a copy, but I can't make it bigger.
These pictures of the building.
No, pictures of yeah. Well, that's, no, I just wanted to.
Andra, can you hear us? I see your name again. Came up differently, you had two.
Copies of the minutes.
I can bring.
I have the minutes. You know, I have pictures of everything. I just can't figure out why it's not letting me.
Oh, she was there for a second, right?
Did it, you did. Andra is connecting to the audio.
Try again. Good evening, Andra. Can you hear us?
Still says she's connecting. She's not connected yet.
I wonder if it's just her house connection.
I
But,
haven't had that issue before.
no,
We connect from her husband's on another board.
Oh, yeah, George.
and he's. Andre, can you hear us? No longer says connecting to audio.
I can call her and have her.
Yeah, she can call as well.
She can call.
Call the number on the agenda, which is 1-929.
Wait a second. 1-929-20.
205-6099. Oh, I heard something.
That was George walking out the door.
Yay!
There you go.
Sorry.
That's
Got
great.
Andre on.
All right, so Andrea, good evening.
Hi.
So the homeowner hasn't shown, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order and I'm gonna ask somebody to allow us to reorganize the meeting so that we can do the other parts of the meeting first. And perhaps he comes later, okay? So it is August 2nd, 2021. It is now 7:07. And I, as chairman of the Historic District Commission, I'm calling the meeting to order. So I'll introduce myself, Susan Skeen, Chair.
Lorraine Stubb, Vice Chair.
Herb Watson, member. Bill Sake, member. Richard Bennett, member.
Marlo is here as our recording secretary. Maureen Giusti is here as our liaison with the town hall, and we have somebody new joining us today.
Carol Shemansky.
Carol Shemansky, and your position again, I'm sorry.
Zoning officer.
She's a zoning officer. So,
And I'm Andra, an Andra Millard, alternate.
very good. So because this is a hybrid meeting, everybody should take turns. If somebody else, try to, Andrea, you're the only one on which we'll call, so, mute if, somebody else is speaking at this, but we're all good. Okay. So, because the property owner is not available, I was going to ask if somebody would make a motion that we could reorder the meeting today so that we could take care of other business before us.
I'll make a motion to reorder the meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So, since our audience of citizens is not here, what I thought we would do is review and act on the minutes of last month's meeting. Has everyone had a chance to go over it?
Mhm.
Did you get a copy, Andrew?
I did.
Okay, great. Is there anything that anybody wants to adjust or feels needs to be noted?
I have the minutes up on the screen. If anybody needs to look them over, just let me know and I'll scroll appropriately. Maybe
You know,
can
the
see
only
them.
thing I saw, where the second paragraph, it says, Maureen Juice, you read the demolition section, and it puts a 90 hold on the demolition permit instead of a 90-day hold. Okay. Anybody see anything else? Okay. All right, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I motion to approve the minutes as presented. This is Andra Millard.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we've done that. Then we don't have the gentleman here. We had asked for Mr. Nero to be here for this meeting. It is in accordance with it's a HDC 2021-01, a request by Nicholas Nero from 100 Harding Holdings LLC to demo a barn building at 991 Worthington Ridge. He began this in April And he was unable to come to the May meeting, we didn't hear from, we weren't able to get everybody to view the building by the May meeting. So we had the meeting in June. No representative from his organization was present, and we had questions which we could not get answered. So we tabled it to the July meeting. At the July meeting, he had one of his representatives texting him to answer questions, but we felt that it was not adequate. So we asked him if he could be present tonight, and Mr. Nero is not here. So I'm asking Maureen as our town liaison, do we ask him that he has to start over? Because I think we've been more than generous with our time.
So I was just actually gonna flip through the regulations to see, if I might, for the record, say that this is an open public hearing that was duly published and continued from the last meeting. And at the end of, if you look to the minutes, you'll see at the end of before the meeting was continued to and tabled until this meeting, which is clearly stated as August 2nd, 2021. The owner indicated that he had confirmed he would be able to attend through his representative, Mrs. Vargas. So I don't have a procedural how to handle it if you choose not to further continue the hearing. Of course, we don't have the same time. Let me think for 1 second.
All right, well, let me just mention this. Tonight, as I was coming to the meeting, one of the things that we had asked through Mr. Nero's representative on several occasions is because the building itself is dilapidated at this time because it has been allowed to deteriorate, that he would secure the building. Now, the building itself, for most of you have been there, but the driveway goes out and then it drops down about 6 feet, and that's where the base of the barn is. So it's difficult to see, but from my view from the road, I did not see that the building had been secured as we had asked. So that was my only comment as to, this thing. But, like I say, I think we've, 3 months. I don't know what else to say. Does anybody else have any comments? No?
Maureen, you said you were gonna approach the building department with that issue. Did you do that?
I did. He was going to reach out and send a letter with
Send a
regard
letter?
to securing it. He did say, I reported at the last meeting, I believe that he was asking for securing the building, but he didn't find that there was within his purview the ability to demand the securing.
Did he not
because
think it was a hazard?
he did not think the building was at imminent danger of collapse or falling. That's what he reported.
Which inspector was that, if I might ask?
That was the chief building inspector, Frank.
Frank?
Let me remember what he said. I think we have it in the minutes.
He may be correct in his judgment of that, but the structure is an attractive nuisance. It is open and available for any neighbor, child, or even adult wander out, wander in, fall through a hole, become seriously injured.
And there are holes through the second floor. So I can't believe that he would say something like that.
And especially since that he had presented as one of the reasons for the demolition that his insurance company had requested it. And I am surprised that the insurance company has not made some kind of whatchamacallit with that demand. So,
I will double check with the building inspector again tomorrow. I just read that note. I'm trying to find it now. I thought it was in the minutes.
It's not that complicated a deal, a piece of plywood over the door with some wood, a couple of pieces of plywood over the windows, and no one could gain. Could go in there.
right,
There's
So-
anything unsafe about the basement. Top floors look bad.
He said because the property is occupied, he can't order, if it was a vacant property, he'd have more
Mm.
ordering, the,
But the
Latitude.
barn isn't occupied, just
but the property is. So I suppose if you had trespassers, there would be people there to report it. I mean, that's like surmising that. I don't know building code, so I'm not trained in building code.
All right,
But that's what I was just, you can't
Well-
order because property is occupied. That's what my note says.
okay, so while you're looking through and seeing what we can do about this, is there anything else that we have that it, for old business or new business that someone would like to pursue?
I would like, may I?
Yes.
So we got the most recent edition of Preservation Connecticut News dated August 2021. And the cover is Demolition Pandemic. And we just got it, so I have not had the opportunity to read it yet. I got it at the end of last week. I think Commissioner Stubb indicated it was an interesting read. It's only a couple pages long. I'm sure I can scan it and send it
That would be
out.
great. I was doing some other research on it and some of the things that people had suggested, because there isn't anything on the books, I believe, in Berlin to address this situation, that there are some towns that have found it beneficial to offer, in other words, like a carrot, like to say, listen, if you take like a tax incentive or some kind of incentive to restore the building, there's also the chance to fine people if they, but then, you know, it requires us, which is a very small committee, to go out and, you know, look over the neighborhood or whatever, which I don't really think I wanna, I'm not sure how that would hold up, but it is something you guys were talking about but you have,
Demolition delay ordinance.
right? And have you found, I mean, I know you probably haven't had a chance to meet recently.
Well, as far as we got, you know, we kind of researched other towns that have done this, but one of the things that concerns me is that, you know, you still wind up, unless you can find an alternative buyer for it or something, it's winds up being demolished anyhow.
Right,
And all you can hope for is just to be able to document the building, salvage materials and that kind of thing, but I don't know if I have a sense of the commission overwhelmingly wants us to still pursue this.
I guess to me, the thing that I would like to see as being a homeowner in the district, I mean, I know that from time to time, like my husband and I, there is certainly work that we would like to do, but you know, don't have, at times have not had the funds to do, you know? And so it is one of those things that I think, you know, at least offering somebody the benefit of saying, like, instead of letting it just go to rot, you know, saying, well, you know, there's something out there for you, you know, that might ameliorate some of the cost, you know, like a, I don't know, with an incentive somehow.
I think some towns have some sort of tax incentive if you have a historic property to maintain it. But usually it's some, if it was in a district, that's one thing, but if it's outside the district, it's a little bit harder to do. I feel like some sort of tax rebate
Yeah,
that you're, because you're maintaining a historic asset for the town. There should be some thank you for that.
you know, just going back to, just changing the subject here, but going back to a building that is vacant, which is the old town hall. I was reading an article where they said, you know, the thing is that there are broken windows. I don't know the condition of the roof on that thing, but that, you know, is the town able to step forward and say to them, at least secure the building so that it doesn't deteriorate anymore until hopefully somebody else buys it who has, you know, the initiative or the desire to renovate it. Has anybody taken a look at the old town hall or no?
So he was sending, so in that same discussion,
Right.
and we did discuss both these last month, was that he was sending an order with regard to that building because he could, because it was vacant, it wasn't occupied. And we asked for securing the building. Now, the roof and whatnot, upper story windows, I think because people can't get in an upper story window.
Okay.
You know,
So he did write them a letter.
That's my understanding. Again, it didn't report to me, but we, had the discussion about it and that was his intent. Was to get that building secured. He went out and investigated both.
All right, well, thank you. I don't know if anybody else has anything else to add or which we'll call it, and I don't know if you've come up with anything else.
I am not seeing anything in here readily, and I had already looked, but once before when he didn't show up to one of the other, that first meeting, where as to,
In June.
May, remember?
No.
Meeting.
May, we didn't have the meeting because May he
Oh, because
submitted
it's
the documents so late. We would have only had like a day or so to look things over. So we ended up tabling it until June. In
Okay.
June, he did not come to the meeting.
Oh, it was July he came, I'm sorry.
No, in July, his Ms. Vargas.
representative did. So it was June, I'm sorry, I'm a month
No,
behind.
that's all right.
Well, it's only the second.
It's easy to get
I don't know what
confused.
month that is. So yes, I had looked to see if I saw anything about the action for the commission to take or not, and there doesn't seem to be anything in your rules or bylaws with regard to applicants making application and then not appearing. And so, like, generally, if somebody makes an application, they're committed to that application and.
The only thing I would be concerned with is, will he be able to get his demo permit if he hasn't, gotten our approval?
So, no demo part, so no building or structure shall be erected, altered, restored, moved, or demolished within the historic district until an application for a certificate of appropriateness as to the exterior architectural features has been submitted to the commission and approved by said commission. So, without it being approved, I would say that you can continue it further if you so choose. Or perhaps vote to deny based on lack of information or response, and then, without prejudice for him to reapply.
Well, I
At the
look to
time.
my commissioners for what they suggest.
Can we just discuss some of the points now?
It is an open public hearing.
Does he have to be here for us to discuss?
I mean,
It's an
what other
open
things
public
would,
hearing.
what other things would you want to discuss that we haven't already talked about?
I think he has those. To him, property barn has no value. He can't use it. It's not, he can store a lawnmower in the basement. If you fixed it up, you could have a woodworking shop on the first floor. But as a renter, it has absolutely no value to him. Now, clearly, he's guilty of demolition by neglect. He should have fixed the roof 10 years ago. Is that worse out of the barn or not? Can we expect him to spend tens of thousands of dollars restoring this barn when it has no use?
Well, but we can ask him to show us what he intends to do once he removes the barn and if there's any salvage value to some of the materials, I mean, I know that it's really other departments within the town hall's purview to decide. I mean, once he removes that structure, if it's not done properly, there'll be water runoff that could damage other properties downhill from there. I don't know what's behind there specifically. I know we had the map. But I remember one of the other homeowners from behind there when another property was adjusted that complained about water runoff that caused their basement to flood. So I don't think it's out of the ordinary for him to give us some idea, what he intends to do or some kind of,
I think those are all good points, but I think without him being here, we can't move forward in any way, shape, or form. I don't think we can even discuss it intelligently without him being here to answer the questions.
I mean, you know, in one, whatchamacallit, he said he was gonna turn it into a park-like setting, but in his last thing, he said that he was gonna leave the foundation in place. And we've all seen the foundation, it's not really structurally, whatchamacallit, to just leave that foundation the way it is. You know, he says he's not pursuing any salvage, but I believe his representative said that, you know, they might. And then he said that the insurance company is forcing him to remove it because it's a safety issue. But he's done nothing to ameliorate the safety issue, and he has never shown us a letter from his insurance company making that formal request. I mean, he lists the property for sale and lists it as a shed. And by no shape or form is it a shed. I would not consider it a shed. So, I mean, I see what you're saying, Herb, and I agree. I mean, he has let it deteriorate to a point where it seems an inevitable conclusion, but I think that there are things that, you know, that he could try to do.
And once in more detail.
Yeah. So,
Obviously, it's really not that important to him to be here, so why should it be important to us to make a decision?
well, so I leave it to you. I mean, Maureen laid out two things. We can do a continuance and see if he wants to come to the next meeting, or we can deny it without prejudice. And if somebody wants to make a motion in either way, I mean,
This is Andra Millard. I just wanted to make a comment. My concern is that if we take this off of our radar, my concern is he's just going to go and do what he wants with that. And I personally would like to see it kept on our agenda so he knows that we're keeping an eye on it.
do noted. Anyone else feel the same way? Should we continue in another month?
It doesn't bother me to continue in another month or another 2 months or 3 months or whatever.
Yeah,
I think Andrew has a good point.
Hopefully he won't be able to get a demolition permit without our,
Maureen said he
Demo
can.
permit requires my
Right.
signature. They are,
hopefully that's the case, but you know, everything falls through the cracks every now and then. So.
my concern, and this is, I'm just concerned of other things that might happen to this building. It may fall in mysteriously, it may catch fire mysteriously. I just like to know, I want him to know that we are still keeping an eye on it and that we're looking for him to come to the commission to do anything with this building.
All right, well, then do I have a motion to continue this COA until the September meeting?
I'll make the motion to continue it to the next meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so
Can
noted.
you just ask if anyone's opposed?
Anyone opposed? No opposition. All right, so if there is nothing new for the commission to consider, and I think we've covered all of the old business. Yes,
One
sir.
more point about this, should we send him a letter telling him what we've done
Okay.
and so just that he will know that we're still involved in it and we'd
Mhm.
like him to make
Yeah,
the next meeting.
I think that's a good idea.
So I was actually going to suggest that I was gonna note to do that. We had been in communication with his representative through email, but I think the formal letter would,
had you
I
heard
plan
from,
to do that, so.
had you heard from Arlen this, like within the
Not
last,
since the,
not since
right
the
after
meeting?
the last meeting.
Okay, just
I
curious.
think it was right after.
All right, so, thank you, Richard. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to end the meeting tonight, to adjourn?
Can I just
Oh,
ask
yes, go ahead.
Maureen, like, when an applicant is, do you send them any kind of reminder of the meeting? Like, we get a reminder of the meeting?
They did get the agenda,
Oh, they did?
as you did,
Okay.
or she did. The last communication reminded her as well that that was earlier in the month, if I recall correctly, earlier in July. My reminding just routinely people has not done well for July, being the only staff. So we now have Carol, and she's incredible at communication and really incredible, amazing the number of people she has contacted in just a week. So we're hopeful that we'll get back to what I'm gonna call normal, which that would have been normal courtesy. However, again, we had in the minutes, they put on their calendar, they would be here on August 2nd. As it was discussed, they'd be here. So just.
Well, so do I have a motion to adjourn
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, so thank you all very much for coming. It was a pleasure meeting you tonight. And Andra, thank you for zooming in.
All right. Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Alejandra.
Good night.